Candy cold and see you see me. Manifest my dreams, they wanna be me. How I do it, the questions when they see me. So blessed, they think I got a genie. Candy cold and secret, you see me. Manifest my dreams, they wanna be me. How I do it, the questions when they see me. So blessed, they think I got a genie. 213, the star was born. Keep us in the light and she passed it on. With artists white and Miss Candy coated on a different vibration, so you know I'm close. We're not the same, I'm not a game. You match energy, I shift chakra. Not leave the keys, but I'm on fire. Need more bread, home of the wire. Candy cold and secret, you see me. Manifest my dreams, they wanna be me. How I do it, the questions when they see me. So blessed, they think I got a genie. Candy cold and secret, you see me. Manifest my dreams, they wanna be me. How I do it, the questions when they see me. So blessed, they think I got a genie. I am like dopamine, you can't control this substance. You don't want smoke with me, you couldn't handle my substance. He gave me life and assured me abundance. I don't speak broke, sis, I am abundant. My ex, yeah, he's a clown, making fake pages to watch me now. Climbing to the top, they can't stop me now. Got so much sauce, trying to sweat me now. Got my foot on their necks, and I ain't letting up. They stomp the yard, time to step it up. Got my foot on their necks, and I ain't letting up. They stomp the yard, time to step it up. 2 shows, 3 magazines, been on the radio, I'm not stopping. Wrote a book, best-selling author, my God keeps me popping. I'm affiliate, a life coach, my stock keeps on rising. Wednesdays at 8 o'clock on Facebook, they're watching. Candy cold.
Hey, you guys. Hey, you guys. What's going on? When you get here, say hello to me so I know that you're here. It's Wednesday and we are back. I'm back. I made it back safely from my travels, which was so much fun. I had a really um great time. So give me a heart thumbs up when you get here. Share the show for me. I'm trying to make sure we got everything. It is Wednesday. It's hump day. So we are halfway through the week into the weekend. Oh look, you early. Hey girl. Hey Samara girl. Oh, you early too. Hey Andre. Shout outs to YouTube. Shout outs to YouTube. What's going on with you guys? How has you guys' week been? Anything new with you two? What's up? What's going on? How we feeling? Okay, so we are what's this? April. 4 months into the new year. We are 4 months into 2025. And I don't know if you guys participated in it or not, but Lent just ended. Did you guys participate in Lent season? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. While I continue to do everything. Did you guys participate in Lenten season? Let me know. Put it down in the comments. Spring break, spring break spoiled you. Listen, yeah, because you're like in the school system, so I know spring break definitely probably spoiled you. Um, Actually, I think here you guys went back. I was out of town, and so my godkids, they're on spring break now, which is shocking, right? They're on spring break now. They go back next week. You did kinda. Use a blower. Kinda. Okay. Make sure you guys are sharing the show tonight. Kinda. So what's your kinda? What did you do? You didn't participate in it? Okay. We went back yesterday. Oh, Tuesday. Okay, so y'all went back Tuesday. Well, I participated in Lenten season tonight. I call it Lenten. Lenten, it is. You know what it is. Jesus know what it is. Boop, boop, boop. But I participated. So this time I didn't do any takeaways. I didn't take away anything. If anything, I added something to myself, which I'm grateful for because it definitely made a difference. But I just wanted to come here tonight, hopefully encourage somebody to continue to go on their growth journey as far as whatever it is that you may be doing, just with some stuff that you want to do. Because, baby, this Lenten season, I've cut out meat. So I want to say I participated in Lenten season maybe 3 times. I didn't fully cut out, but I made cutbacks. Okay. So you didn't fully cut out. You made some cutbacks, which is good. Did you commit to the whole, what is it, 40 days? Were you able to do it? Were you able to do it? So so now that it's over, I'll tell you guys what I added. So I had added just different things that I knew that I needed to work on because just like for anything, life be life, and then we can, what they say, we fall down but we get up. But I don't know if nobody follow Marvin Sapp no more the way they tore him up, child. But yeah, so I went ahead and I did that. So I added, getting back into my daily prayer routine and my daily meditation. So that was the things that I did. Uh I thought we were doing meat, right? Well, I didn't want to do meat, but I was, I ain't gonna say no names, but I was doing it with someone else who was doing meat until I found out that they weren't doing meat. I was like, hold on, I thought you wanted to do, the cutaway of the meat thing. She was like, no. I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't really I still didn't really eat out because I like when I make a commitment, I like to go through with it and commit to it, right? So I didn't I did what you did, Dorian. I cut back some on my meat. I ate more seafoods and stuff like that. Here and there I might have ate a meat, but it wasn't I didn't overindulge, how I can, overindulge. And if you're here, share the show out for me, you guys. Share the show to the Facebook group, to your YouTube channel, on your page, or whatever it is that you did. It takes a village. And we are also live on TikTok tonight. So hey TikTok, if you're in the building, say hello. Um, yes, a lot of adding for me, but it wasn't intentionally added because of Lent. I think it was just a natural flow. Okay. Well, you know what they say, your spirit always knows where you are. So if it happened, it happened because it was supposed to happen. hmm I did the Target. Oh, hold on. I think I clicked that. You did it. What's the Target fast? It was that like the fast where you said you weren't going to shop at Target, you're staying away from Target. Look, fun fact. Have you guys noticed how much Target is like continuing to drop tremendously? I don't really know too much about Walmart. I know a lot of people who still are going to Walmart, but I also know a lot of people too who found alternatives. So I just want to say shout outs to the people that's finding alternatives because it's looking like y'all, it's looking like it makes a difference when you stick together. It definitely does look like that. So I'm interested to see how this thing is going to play out, especially when a lot of these things that he did when they pass to when they start in 2026. So I would say be afraid, but I think that's when it'll really really go into effect with a lot of things. Although some of the things went in effect already because we seen where Andre said that hey, he's been affected by the tariffs already on Etsy with $170 shipping for something that he wouldn't have normally had to pay $170 shipping for. So I think it's here. I think it's here. It's just slowly creeping in. Sheen sent out a text message saying that they would be increasing. I didn't see anything from Fashion Nova yet, but I'm wondering if Fashion Nova gonna go up. Like if they're gonna go, they already make you pay to return your items, so I wonder what they're going to do. But yeah, oh yes, ma'am. Oh, okay. So that is okay. So you did the Target fast. So are you back shopping there now, or are you sticking to it? Did you like it? How was it? Did your life change a lot? Like, did you become completely inconvenienced, or was it not that bad? I'm interested. I haven't met anybody yet that said they did the Target fast. Yes, yes, Benita girl, share the show and push that love button. See, Benita's the best, y'all. Benita is one of the best mods. Okay, she be here. She understands the assignment. But yeah, I definitely added more to jumpstart me, and I appreciate it and I love it. So, like I said, this was my third time really like getting into the whole Lent thing. The first time I did it, I said I took away like negative thinking, like no negative thoughts, no second guessing. I didn't want to have not one negative thought. And it worked. It really did work. And then one time I did meat. I took out meat. And that's when I discovered I didn't know how many things you could eat and be full that didn't have meat. You know, when you do something for so long, you think that that's like the thing that you have to do. So it was in that Lenten season that I learned, yo, you do not have to eat meat to be full. You don't have to eat meat um to just survive and things like that. So I was like, oh, okay. So, basically we just learning, unlearning different things that, we were taught or how we were raised, and then you learn everything and you do all these things and stuff on your own. So it's not bad, but Target is right around the corner and extremely convenient. Oh, okay. So are you sticking to it, or it was just like a thing? Because then this is the thing right here, and I'm glad that you use this word convenient because I feel like that this goes into what I want to share tonight. Because sometimes conveniency leaves us stuck. Okay, conveniency, comfortability, those two c words. Sometimes they can leave us stuck. Oh, okay. Shout outs to you. She says, I'm sticking to it. I know that's right. Well, good luck to you, and what they say, may the odds forever be in your favor. Speaking of that, I think I might go ahead and watch that tonight on Hunger Games. So, all right, so doing this, I just want to talk about, growth and accountability and just see where we are, where you guys are. So I like to come here and I like to be open and honest and transparent with you guys. Because listen, sharing is caring. And sometimes I know when you're going through some things or you're trying to change, you may feel like you can't change and things just may be a struggle and trying for you. And I want to say, sometimes we also may feel like that, God isn't listening to us, our prayers aren't being answered and different things like that. But I'm here to tell you that, hey, they are. They do. You know what I mean? Some faster than others. Others may be slower. But then I always be like, well, where are you at in alignment to what it is that you're praying for and what it is that you want? So recently I was asking him, several things, but I wanted him to show me, you're not you laughing at me. I wanted him to show me the areas in which I've grown, um, how far I am on, track, because sometimes, I mean, is it just me? Do you guys ever wonder, like, dang, am I doing the right thing? Where's my progress at? How close to heaven am I? How close to hell am I? Where I'm going, what I'm not doing. If I the only one that be going through that, so I'm like, y'all know what go in my mind through my mind. You know what I mean? Sometimes. So that's just simply where it is. Like I feel like we all sometimes we ask questions and we don't want to seem like we're the only ones asking the questions. But y'all know I could care less. She said all the time. You feel me, Sonara? So I'm not alone out here. Thank you. I'm not alone. So I wanted to know, where I was in my journey and just what it is and what areas needed improvement and things like that. And I asked that. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Hit that like button on YouTube. Share the show for me, TikTok, all of that. Um, I had to do that. You know what I mean? And what they say, ask and ye shall find. Okay. Do not ask things that you are not prepared to get an answer for. I would say, Sonera, it's almost like going through your man phone. Like, don't go through his phone, if you're not prepared to do what's necessary to be done when you go through the phone. Similar to how people be like, oh, I don't like to go looking for my own hurt. Well, to me, that's just a huge indicator that, girl, you are already hurt, or sir, you are already hurt. You just don't want to have to act on what you see. Like it's gonna push you to do something. Let's chew on that for a little minute. Like it's going to make you do something, put something in your face that you may not be prepared to do. So that's what I really think is behind that. I don't go looking for my own hurt because I mean, wouldn't that be equivalent to just saying, "Oh no, I like to be a fool in private. Like I like to be a fool unknowingly. I like to I want to say voluntarily, but I volunteer not to know." It's one of those things. I'm gonna look into that statement. I'm gonna put that on my list because there's something there. Okay. So I've never been that person, baby. My one thing I'm gonna do, my heart gonna get the aching or whatever it's gonna do because I feel like, listen, I need to know. I gotta know. I gotta know because I can't be doing all this and oh whatever, whatever. And yeah, just that's just where we at. But now, you get to a place where it's like, if I even think that I have to even do this, this is not the safe space for me. You know what I mean? So, uh, yes, don't go looking for what you don't want to find. Yes, and it's like, is it don't go looking for what you don't want to find, or if I go looking shouldn't be nothing to find? Because that's the flip side to that I feel anyway. Like if I go looking, there should be nothing to find. If I go to work and we accidentally take each other's phone, pick it up off the table, it shouldn't be an issue. Case in point, remember the movie Brown Sugar with Tay Diggs? I don't know when things went wrong in their relationship. Maybe I got to go back and look at that movie tonight too. But if you guys remember, for like forever, they had the same phone and they would accidentally pick each other's phone up and go throughout the day with the phone until he found out that the wife was, you know, ooh, that girl so scandalous and the look in her eyes so devilish, you know. He learned, but he acted on it. Tay Diggs acted on it. He did. They went out to dinner. They had a nice little time, and it was kind of like, this sucks. We aren't going to work out. So I feel like that's the same thing with prayer and how it goes. Don't ask him a question that you don't want to know the answer to, or get the answer that you or we get the answers right. We receive the answers that we don't want. So then we be like, all right, well, give me another sign. Or wait a minute, one more. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like I think everybody has done that. I feel like he be like, listen, I done gave you 5,000,011 signs, and I answered you 100 times, and you still need me to answer you again. You know what I mean? So, that's how it is when you're down here. You're just striving, trying to be better. But, so like I said, during this season, I asked and I wanted to know, just how far I've grown, right? And this time when he answered me, I didn't know that he was going to answer me the way that he answered me, because sometimes you get your answers from the least people that you expect, and it comes in different formats. Y'all get what I'm saying? Y'all ever experience something with somebody and it's like, damn, I hate that it had to be you, whether it's a friendship, relationship, workship, outside ship, acquaintanceship, and it be like, I didn't want it to be you. Like, why did it have to be you? Because I liked you, you know? Or we was cool. At that point, he lets us find out ourselves. Yes, as they say, God answers us in three ways. Yes, no, and if you insist. And sometimes that insist will rock your world every time. Hmm. Ask me how I know scenario. See, you on the vibe. You getting it. You understanding it. So, things like that. So here we are about, oh yeah, I can say it now. Like 5 years ago, I've talked about it on I did like a whole little thing on it. So remember 5 years ago around the Popeyes epidemic, when the Popeyes sandwiches was all of this in a bag of chips in 2020, and I want to say this was before COVID. It got to be. I don't know, but y'all know. And um, you know, in this situation, y'all remember me telling y'all about the girl that came into my job and she threw um strawberry Fanta, Popeye strawberry Fanta juice on me at work. Do y'all remember that? So let me know if you guys remember that or if y'all saw that video. Cause I had did a whole no, this was 2019 too. I had did a whole little thing on it because I was so shocked by myself and how I handled it, right? So I was also younger, right? And during this time at that job, if you got into a physical altercation with the customers, they would let you go before they even wanted to press charges or pursue the customer. Y'all get what I'm saying? I've worked in one too many jobs, especially being a copper. Like, you are not a victim. They don't care what's going on with you, what you did. Is like, you are not a victim. You are guilty before you're found innocent, and things like that. So this is why I say, growing up and learning from your past mistakes or previous incidents, it's very important that we pay attention to where we are in life so that we won't keep having those same experiences, right? So remember the young lady, she ended up throwing juice on me, whatever. Then my other coworker found her, and she ended up having to pay me $250 for the damages to my phone because the courts was about to give her. They were about to put her on probation. She was like 23, and they were about to give her probation and like community service just for throwing juice on me. Right? Do y'all remember that? Let me know. Yes, no. And it's not even that, but I'm starting to understand. I began to understand, not then, but now as time go on, that when God says, vengeance is mine and I will fight your battles for you, he not lying when he say that. I think sometimes we just don't be woken up or pay attention enough to understand what's going on, or really like the areas within us that he shows us need work on, right? Because he also showed me something else that I asked for, and it showed up immediately, and it showed up through a relative and a friend, and I even explained to both of them, you know, about it as well. So, this is what I this so this thing is just about recognizing and being able to pay attention to your growth and where it is. So I challenge you guys tonight to sit and ponder with yourself for a little minute and ask God to show you the areas and where you have grown or you still may struggle with, and get those answers. And so when a young lady threw the juice on me, um, you know, the young lady had threw the juice on me during that year. Uh, she ended up paying for it. She also ended up being a DoorDash driver that delivered my food like a year after that to my actual residence at the time. And she was like, "Oh, hey, her whole everything was changed." But during that time when she did throw that juice, I did get up, you know, and picked up the cup, and I ran after her outside. But she had gotten in the car and she had sped off. You know what I mean? Because I was like, because I'm good. You know what I'm saying? For the most part, I try to be, my num yo holding kyo. I try not to be, very problematic. We can have a discussion. I would rather us talk about it, maybe cool off. Uh, can you all hear me? Let me see. I can check this. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Let me check this. Are y'all able to hear me? Hold on. You know, hold on. I can check it right now. Whew. Let me know. Can you hear me? Put it down in the chat. Oh, so I'm guessing that you can hear me because maybe it's your. Oh, okay. See, not you about to get me all distracted in the middle of the story. People will push you and touch you. That. Oh my gosh, that right there. Okay, Dorian says yes. Okay, okay, I hear you. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure because we have this mic and it was working and it's been working really good. So, oh, yeah, I can hear me. All right, cool. You guys can hear me. Um, you know, Okay, girl, be quiet. Okay. Um, so that's um so that's where it was on that, right? And I didn't even know, she didn't know that she was going to end up being my driver. She also didn't know that. Okay, I can hear you. Oh, hey, handyman. And she also was like, I think for her, she didn't know that throwing juice on somebody, throwing a soda at someone was going to result in her being put on probation. But here's the thing, it's like sometimes you got to understand everybody goes through things, but you don't know the people that you are coming into confrontation with or that you may have an issue with. I feel like we should be able to talk about anything. We don't have to agree on anything, case in point, she showed up. I mean, she probably don't want me to put her on the spot, but me and Handy Mandy will go at it down, okay? And I can say that that's the one thing that I respect about our relationship is that I've had to tell her how I felt about something, and she's never been like, "Oh, I don't want to hear it." It's just like, "Okay." I'm like, "Look, you might not like it, but let me just say this." And she sits and we listen and we talk about it and we work through it. And I think that it is important for us to have people where you can actually work through, your differences and things like that. Um, Case in point, my other friend is on here. I ain't gonna put them on blast, although they love attention. We were able to also have a conversation. Look, 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 true man, girl. We were also able to have a conversation where it was like, well, let me tell you where things shifted in the friendship for me. And then I would like to say that I would believe, that in this moment of life where I am, and I really don't like to speak on stuff like this because when I be speaking on it, it should just go haywire sometimes, But I also think, and it made the relationship better. So I think too, so the people have to also the relationship has to be receptive. Like the people have to want you in their life just as much as you want them in yours. And it works. You get what I'm saying? Some people they could just take you or leave you. You know what I mean? Even though they say I get rid of people fast. It don't be that. It just be I don't have time to be, you know, worried about why we're not cool or why you're not speaking to me or if you don't want to be my friend no more. Like I just feel like I'm an adult. You know what I mean? Like I'm not about to be unfriending people at this big age. But however, I will allow God to do what He needs to do, and if it means that our relationship has took a shift or it took a drift, or it was a cause to pause, I'm okay with that. So because life continues to go on. Like I just came off of a food tour. You get what I'm saying? Like when I look at things like that with certain things, even in relationships, if relationships and stuff come to an end, it's like, but did you die? You know what I mean? Like life goes on. I can't sit and worry about that because there was once upon a time where I allowed a lot of stuff to consume me that wasn't important. I think that we let a lot of things consume us that's not important. So like I said, so 5 years ago that happened. I reacted. I reacted how I reacted. Okay, agreed. Hit that like button. Okay, share, share, share. And so with that situation, when they did speak to me about it, this is management, right? This is why I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And the management has spoken to me about it. The regional at that time, right, me and my homegirl was running the office as far as we was killing it. We was killing the property. Y'all used to see us cutting up on Instagram. We got a lot of customers, residents that came from Instagram that wanted to lease with us just because we was the leasing agents and we were, yeah, yeah. Anyway. And so, none of that mattered when it came down to what's going on. And I was in the office with them and they was talking to me. The regional, she was talking to me, and all she said, she didn't care, even though it's on video. She didn't care that this girl had just came in here and threw a soda on me. I did everything the right way. I told the property manager, I told the lady who was in the office at that time, I was like, hey, the manager, I was like, hey, this young lady, we have been, I took all the necessary steps. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, but I took all the necessary steps that they tell you should take. I didn't fight her at my job. Yes, I did chase after her. I did. It was like an instant reaction or whatever. So I even had told the young lady, hey, this young lady is coming to pick up her check. It's not even her check, it's her boyfriend's check. We ain't even supposed to do that, but he gave her permission to do that. I said, and she's really gotten into it with everybody in the office, which was the manager, the actual property manager. She got into it with the leasing agent, which was my homegirl, Jasmine. Y'all remember Jazz? She be on here sometimes, and she had gotten to it with myself because I stepped in trying to assist because in all trainings they say sometimes you need people, if you're in customer service or that what they tell you, sometimes the person needs to hear a different voice that's giving them the same information and they may receive it better. You get what I'm saying? And so we did that. She didn't like that. Hence, I'm the one that got the juice thrown in, and I wasn't even the one that was originally helping her. So when it came down to when we were in that office, all the regional said, I kept my job, but all the regional said was, no, you didn't just sit there. You got up, picked up the cup, and you ran outside and you threw it. Like, can y'all believe that? Like, didn't care that this young lady had came in the office while I'm sitting there with a resident, got juice on me and the resident. I keep calling it juice. Got soda on me and the resident. She did it in front of another manager that was sitting right there. And all you cared about was that I reacted by picking up this cup and running and chasing her outside and throwing the cup. Did y'all hear that? Like, I think we gotta let that sit for a minute. So you didn't care that your employee could have possibly gotten injured. Suppose I was allergic to strawberry juice or strawberry soda. You know what I mean? Because there is a such thing as food allergies, right? You didn't care that I was sitting there at the desk helping a current tenant with an issue, and we both got assaulted with a soda. Thank you. Like, what if it wasn't soda? How was I to know what was in that cup? You understand? This is what I'm saying. And so it's like that's when I've learned early on that like yo, these jobs, place of employers, they do not care. They will replace you and get you out of here as quick as it go. And that's why I was telling my friend earlier, I'm like, yo, we gotta have degrees and so much to work for somebody else, but you don't gotta do all that to work for yourself. And I'm like, isn't that a little crazy? Because usually when you hear some of these people's stories, these big owners, they just talk about how they had like a dream and a goal and they just knew how they wanted to go and they kept on doing it. Like Thomas Edison ain't go to school for no damn light bulb. You know what I mean? You just keep trying and trying, but when it comes to these corporations, this is what it is. So yeah, like what if it wasn't even soda? So she was just so focused on the fact of how I reacted and was like, you should have remained seated. Now, not only that, if this may or may not have anything to do with it, they also were Caucasian. You know what I'm saying? My manager, she was also a Caucasian lady. So it's just like, what? But what was shocking is that she also was a victim because I don't know if you guys knew about it or heard about it, but maybe over like 15 years ago, the guy who was in Middle River who went on like a shooting spree, he went into the leasing office and he pumed the whole all the staff because they wasn't fixing the stuff in his house. Well, she had gotten pumed like 9 times to the point it like messed up her arm, so her arm is like permanently like this. So you would think like coming from you where you almost lost your life at this same, this from this same job with an angry resident, he only not shot you, right? Facts. He only not shot you, but he also shot the maintenance guy that didn't come to the office and do what he needed to do. He got you and he got the leasing lady. And he had got somebody else. I think the leasing guy had gotten like pumed in his leg or something. So it's like, girl, you were a victim to a disgruntled resident because y'all was playing with his maintenance request. And then he did what he did and he sat down. He sat outside and waited for the police to come get him. And when they got him and they asked him what it was, he was like, "Oh, they wouldn't fix the stuff that was wrong in my house. The manager, she isn't smart. I asked the management." So he like lost it, right? So she was a victim of that. So it's like here it is, and all you could tell me is, "Oh, well, I should have stayed seated." And then I'd have been wrong about to say, and you should have freaking fixed that man's maintenance request. Then it would have been I'd have been disrespectful. I would have been rude. I would have been, not sensitive. You get what I'm saying? Y'all know how I go. I would have been all kinds of wrongs if I would have responded to her that way. Like, well, why you just didn't get fix the guy when he came in office to speak to you specifically? Why did you brush him off? Because you got pumed because you brushed him off. That would have been rude, correct? So needless to say, fast forward now, here we are in this Lenten season. And I wouldn't say I experienced something similar, but there was a situation that occurred at work. And while I was going through that situation, during this Lenten season, it was during the times where I was asking him to show me my growth. And it just so happens that it showed up. Now, I am a hermit crab, for those who may not know me. Um, for whatever reason, whenever I go to any job or something like that and I sit and I'm quiet, people will automatically assume that I'm mad, I'm having a bad day, I don't want to be bothered. And I'm just like, I don't know what it is where that assumption comes from. Um, and it's really none of my business where the assumption comes from. But I remember I was having this conversation with my sister, and she was saying, "Hey, no, I think that's just a female thing. Y'all tell me that. Tell me what y'all think." She was like, "No, I think that's just a female thing." She was like, "Because when I worked such and such, such and such, and I would go in there some days, I'm gonna always speak." But she was like, "I would sit there and be quiet some days and just be quiet." She was like, and the females at the job would assume she was in a bad mood, she had an attitude. So, do guys really go through that? Do any of you guys in the chat, y'all ever experienced that? So she was like, no, she's like, no, Candace, I think it's just a female thing. And I'm like, really? I don't pay attention I've never paid attention to people at work that much in all my life to recognize if, um, like to feel a way that they not talking today or if they quiet. Not only that, during this specific day, I was like swamped with work for Candy Coated. I was taking care of things for Candy Coated. And you know what I tell you all the time? Like us black people, one thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go to work and we're gonna work on our stuff on the clock on the clock. Especially when I have downtime to do so. So it wasn't even anything specifically wrong this day. I just was so focused on what I had to do in this moment, right? So let me know. But in the chat, you guys ever experienced that? Do if you ever go to work and you're not talking, do people automatically assume that you have an attitude or something's wrong? It's like, damn, I gotta be yo gabba gabba every day. So outside of that, right? So outside of that, things like that. And she's like, no, she was like, yeah, no, I think it's a female thing. And I was like, well, that's a problem if you can't even go to work, be quiet, not talk without somebody assuming or thinking that you have an attitude. I'm like, that's a personal thing. Like people need to check in with themselves. So and things like that. So needless to say, um, I had to endure some things that I didn't even think that I would be able to endure, especially coming from a person who I used to like to have the last word. I didn't mind fighting. I didn't mind being at work fighting. Um, I didn't mind being on a clock fighting. I you like I like my answer to a lot of my problems was through violence. And when you grow up and you realize that I strive to be more like Christ, that yes, even though he went off that day one time and flipped over the tables, but I'm not, I don't want to be that. I also work on, I did too much growing to not let other people to control me. Like your bad day is not my bad day. And I think we have to understand that someone else's bad day, don't make it your bad day. You know what I mean? Whether it's people speeding, almost causing accidents, cutting you off, which I've experienced here, cutting you off, or I'm riding down the street, minding my business, I get flicked off, and I'm like, yo, that is rude. I'd be upset. Like, I wasn't even doing anything to you. Like, now, was that necessary? But it's like, you can't allow what somebody else is dealing with to be your stuff. Like, your bull crap is your bull crap. My bull crap is mine. You know what I mean? Some days I really want to be left alone. Yeah, and I'm like that a lot, especially like you have a business. And I know a lot of times, like even with creatives, studies have shown that a lot of creative people, such as actors, actresses, rappers, singers, you know, all of that, just creatives and anything are like the most depressed people because of what goes on from the growth, from you just being hard on yourself, stuff. Maybe you may not be where you want to be, with a clientele may not have gone up the way you want to go up. So that plays a part in it too, right? If I'm quiet, it's definitely bothering to other people. I don't know what that is. And it's always been like that for me. So, some things I'm just used to scenario. Like it's always been like that. And so even with that, when something had occurred, right? And the person is like, I like you. I really don't have no issue with what's going on because it becomes conflicting because it's like, okay, when somebody piss you off, it be your ego. You know how when you don't think before you react to stuff and you be like, why did I do that? Or I overreacted or something like that. So it's like once you are doing the work on yourself and you're daily doing the work, you will begin to recognize the ego voice, the voice that's not yours, and you'll be able to recognize Christ's voice, and you'll be able to recognize the voice from your higher self, right? So it's all of that, and then but you have to stay calm in the midst of chaos and confusion so that you're able to hear. Sometimes we can't, differentiate what, and what it is because the noise is so loud. So I didn't always do this. No, 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 no. I didn't always do this. I had for the last, over the last 7 years, it's like a muscle. You retain it, you teach yourself, you grow it, you use it, and all of those other things. And it works if you work it. So you have to constantly work it. So in that instance, it was like, okay, I had never experienced what I had experienced this particular time because I think I had just did a show on it. Like when I was growing up, like subliminals or somebody just sitting in my face talking about me or talking to whoever they talking about me to, or just being throwing subliminals and slurs. That's how I got into a lot of fights. Cause people don't never one directly say how they feel to you. Like, people will talk trash to you on the internet, but they won't. If 9 times out of 10, these same people will see you in person and they wouldn't say anything. And if you listen to like any of like the celebrities, they talk about that where they be like, I mean, the internet will make you think that people can't stand you and don't like you, and then when you go on tour or you go to do a show, all these people showed up. Case in point, I remember when Nikki was like, she was going through her hate train phase. She was like, she was almost like afraid and nervous to show up for the tour that she did with Juice World because she didn't know how she was going to be received because it was like this whole hate train against her. But everybody there was loving her. Like all the celebrities say the same thing. Carisha, JC, all of them have said the same thing. So it's like we got to be able to listen to hear things and understand them. Like, oh, okay, people just be who they are on the internet, whether the bot, fake page, and all that. And it's like, man, it took you the energy you put in to write a smart comment or to be rude. You could have put that energy into something else. So you had to learn. I had to learn how to, you know, put these voices to the side. And so in the first situation, I reacted with the juice girl. I picked up the juice by chase the girl outside. Cause that day I was ready to scrap. Because I'm like, no, she didn't. It wasn't no voices. It wasn't no like I did not stop, think, and breathe. You know what I mean? And I was able to recognize what I didn't do prior to, but God was on my side because he let her get in the car and pull off with a homegirl. So she could have done something differently where, usually when people got a battery in their back or audience, they like to be pumped up. But I'm like, girl, you threw the juice on me and you ran. So you ain't really want no smoke either, right? And you doing something when you go towards the voice because we ignore the voice way too often before the work. Listen, let's y'all we gotta all read this comment right here because that is the one. We ignore the voice way too often before the work. What TikTok say? TikTok says she ain't want static. No, she didn't, okay? But this is the things that people be doing out here in the world. But it cost her $250. So who got to laugh? So I'm gonna let that comment sit there for a minute because that one right there, when you are doing the work, you will be able to hear and recognize these voices. God let us know when to stand down when he know we won't. Amen, TikTok. Yes. Let's get some heart stars for that. Okay. No, for real. That is so true. Let's see if we can get a little crown. I just need one little crown. Like absolutely. Um and in that situation, that's what he did. So, here we are, fast forward. I'm older now and I've done more work now. Um, I'm doing one-on-ones and all of that. So it's like I can't be out here doing my one-on-ones and doing different things with people and helping people to come to these moments. And I'm out here fighting. Or I'm out here reacting in a way that is just like off the chain. Like I remember when these girls try to bank my daughter or whatever the case may be, doing around like the same time. And my coworker was laughing because she was like, "Yo, guy Candace, you ain't going around there. You ain't." I was like, "Girl, I done came too far in my journey to to go backwards to prove a point." You know what I mean? Or out there, no. Guess what? I would say all the time, I'm like, my daughter's too cute to be out here fighting. Not only that, her mother know how to write a good probable cause. So we gonna do what we got to do to make sure we good so that we can act up if need to. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta cover CYA, cover your own ass, right? But and I remember being younger and when we would get into fights and stuff, like my mother would always call the police. And I would be like, the kid in you is like, yo, you making me look like a chump. You want to go talk to people's mothers. Like I used to hate it because it's like you going over here and you going to talk to these people mother. You making it look like I'm some type of punk or something or like I'm scared. And my mother was like, I don't care what you looking like or what you feel like because at the end of the day, like my mother was, she always used to tell everybody like, my other two kids, they not really gonna fight. It takes a lot for my sister to fight. Like my sister, it takes a lot. She's not gonna go back and forth with you barely at all. And it's like it's up. Me, she's like, Candace, it don't take nothing. All you gotta do is say you want to fight, and Candace is ready. So I'm like, well, that's usually how it is, and I do like having an older sibling because it did make me at an early age not be scared of nobody because my sister was bigger than me, she was taller than me, and she was older than me. So I remember we would go at it, and she wasn't like hurt. She gonna hurt me enough, to hurt you enough, like your sibling, just for you to stop doing what you doing. But I'm little, I'm not processing that. I'm like giving it all I got. And some days, little sis won. She might not. She might be mad if I told y'all this, but y'all know, you got to brag on yourself a little bit. But but that is what made me like, no. Like I think when I was like 14, the oldest girl that I had ever fought was 18. What? And she was like 5 freaking 9. I was little and 100 pounds. But and I got it in. And that was that. And then it became, oh, you can't mess with her because she little. I used to be a little bony chick. So my sister prepared me for that. So outside of that, outside of that, here we are with these situations. And so like I said, that's how a lot of my stuff would happen. And so here we are. And I was laughing because I was telling my friend, my handy mandy, I had to call because I was processing it in that moment when the situation was going on because it really wasn't that deep. But I'm like, damn, you sitting here talking about me for real? Like, is that serious? What did they beep beep? Is that deep? If what they say, niggas, if they jaw broke, wait, is that beef? You know what Nikki say? So I was like, damn, like, oh, so you're really feeling a way today about this situation. But okay, cool, because everybody's entitled to feel how they feel. I would never discredit anybody's feelings, but what I didn't like is it was some lies being told on that phone. Like I said, when people be talking to the people that they be trying to tell these stories to, I know you gotta pump it up a little bit. I know you gotta add a little bit, but I don't do the character thing. Like you're not gonna tarnish my character because certain things is just not me. Right. So and this situation, when this was going on, mind y'all, back to the case in point, I had put this on my Lent list as far as, you know, um, asking God to show me the areas that I've grown in, right? This is why I had to tell y'all the one story to get to this story to get to the point. Y'all keeping up? Let me know in the chat. Send me some hearts. I see you, TikTok. Send me some hearts, some love, some stars, some flowers, or something. Let me know you keeping up. We'll say, yes, I'm here. Okay. And if you have a moment where you had to, think before you act, let me know. So, um, outside of that, I'm like, okay. And I did. Now, of course, you don't have to announce what you're about to do or what you're gonna do, but I did, and I want to tell you this is why. Whew, I get so excited when I tell this part, when I talk about this, and I think about this part. because God be God. Like, even if you feel like he's not listening, he not paying you no mind, if he's moving too slow, or if you feel like he's forgotten you, I'm hoping that this today, hearing this, um, I encourage you to know that he has not forgotten you, right? Because I was sitting there doing my videos for a paying client, okay? And I'm sorry. And I was sitting there and I could hear it. And I'm like, okay, well, she said, we here. Thank you, TikTok. And I'm like, well, you wanted me to hear it because you came in here and you sitting in here and you talking about me and you know I don't have like a headset on. So you do want me to hear it, right? So I get that. I was like, ooh, kudos to that. Like, I'm gonna give you points for that. Like, you came, you popped your talk in my face on the phone. I get that. But the professional in me is like, girl, this is not that deep, okay? But anyway, so I'm sitting there and I'm like, when I was hearing it, because I told y'all subliminals and things like that. Like, I don't do well with that stuff. Like, you gotta know your history. The word history is history. History. You can even say herstory for her. Like, only you know your story. Only you know how you react to things, only you know what goes on, and only you know how you can be, right? And so during this moment, I'm sitting there mid third video sending, and I'm hearing her, and I set up, and I stopped, and I put my phone down. I swear to God, y'all. And I went and I backed my chair up, and I sat up in my chair, and I went like this to go turn around. Glory be to God. Thank you, Jesus. I went like this to go turn around, and I tell y'all, in that moment, something tapped me 3 times on my shoulders, went just like this, and said, "Don't do it." Clear as day. Do you hear me? Woo-hoo-hoo. Glory to God. Oh my God. It just, oh my God. And when you in the moment of something, you can't even process it. Like, I fully had to process it all. Once it was over, I was on the phone with my home girl. I'm like, girl, something tapped me on my shoulders 3 times. And remember I told you, go say yes, no, and if you insist. So maybe it was him saying no, no, yes, and if you insist. Man, I don't know. I ain't even about to try to make it a thing, because we always like to make a thing a thing. And when I went like that, y'all, and I went like this, and have y'all ever experienced something like that? And something went and said, "Don't do it." Clear as day. Don't do it. Clear as day. Don't do it. You know, and I sat there and I had to eat it. That's why I be saying, yo, God, hey, you out here looking like a chump sometimes. Okay. You know what I'm saying? You literally be fighting. I be literally fighting for my life. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, thank God for that shoulder tap. Listen, and I'm sitting there, right? And I'm just sitting there in it. And I'm like, okay. But continued, still was unbothered because we was about to address. And God said no. God said no. So later on when I got home, he had further showed me that he had already prepared me, glory be to God, for what took place in 2025 back in 2019 and 2020. He had already showed me, that he prepared me for this moment. Now, the thing is, how life works, we get the test first before you get the answers. You don't know. There is no cheat sheet, right? And because I asked this question, remember, I asked this during Lent. I asked this. And um, you know, I was like, wow. And so when I came home and I was quiet to myself, he also let me see what it would have looked like had I reacted. Ooh, glory be to God. Right. And I said, I have to come here and talk about just the growth during Lent season and being able to why getting in communication with God is important, why talking to Him, why asking the hard questions, why sitting with yourself, why discovering things about yourself is important because it can save a life. No, like literally though. I don't know where that came from. Y'all know I can't never take nothing serious, okay? But no, it literally can it saves a life. And when I came home and I'm sitting, and don't get me wrong, because I was texting, texting my pastor about it. We left, and it was like God was in it the whole way, because God, I'm texting my pastor about it, like, oh my God, this is crazy. And she immediately was like, girl, that is so beneath you. Like that whole situation is so beneath you. Don't entertain it. So I didn't entertain it. And then, like I said, the noise had tried to get loud because the enemy was able to recognize that I didn't want to entertain it. I got God on this line, and I got God, Jesus on the main line on my phone, right? You know what I mean? Yes, fingers crossed. I did. I tried calling Handy Mandy, but Handy Mandy wasn't available. So I'm like, hold up, I'm about to go off. But Jesus showed up. And in that moment, he showed up to let me know, like, yo, I got you. You are not doing this alone. Like my pastor, she was like, girl, that is so beneath you. It like that is so childish and beneath you. And it was like, okay. But in the midst of something, when that ego is feeling away, when your pride is feeling away, it don't feel like that. But I was like, okay. I'm like, yeah, you're right. It is. You need right. That's why it's important with who you have around you in the middle of different things, right? So when I came home and I sat, and he let you see what it would have looked like, what would have happened. Now, I have a clearance, right? Um, I already lost one, job for not being able to control my temper, right? I already was doing things I shouldn't have done, just the fact of not being able to do it. But I was young. I was like in my 20s or something like that. And stuff like that, right? So here we are, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, I have a clearance. I had been there for a few I've been there for a few years. So I'm like, I have a clearance. I've been here for a few years. It's like, girl, you don't have a strenuous job. It's very flexible. The supervision is, you're not micromanaged like with my employer. Is really a good employer, right? You work from home. You prayed for this condo that you live in, and let you see what it's gonna look like, what would have looked like. And I saw it, and it was like, oh, we got it in. We got it in. It was more so people looked at me like, damn, we didn't know that Candace would stoop to that level, just because usually I'm the one that, a lot of them will come to for advice and to be the voice of reason. So, this is a relationship this is a reputation that I developed prior to, anybody else even coming there. So it's like, I'm not gonna let you come and try to get me out of character, even though almost, but God got other plans, right? And so it was just one of those things. Like I said, he showed me what it would have looked like and all the stuff I would have had to go through. And he definitely said, oh, I'm going to be with you just like I was with you 10 years ago when you was in the field and it had got rough and got you through it. and got you here and brought you here to this moment where you are now. So I'm gonna be with you, but you also gonna be responsible. You are responsible for your actions because you are not supposed to allow anybody else to control you. And you know this, right? And even though you know this, and because I'm forgiving and because we make mistakes and we're human, I'm gonna have your back because I got your back, regardless of what it looked like. Right. And this is what he's showing me. And he's like saying the whole way through when I get home. And it's like, you came too far to allow anyone or people who aren't even doing the work on themselves that you're doing to allow anybody else to make you feel like you gotta prove a point. You know what I mean? And you just come too far. Like you've come too far to go backwards for anybody. And then once I saw that where I got to the outcome part, like I don't know if the job was lost or if it wasn't lost or what was. Like I didn't get to that part, but I did. But I also, when it came down to that part of the story where he was showing me you're gonna be back at a table again with some other people who don't even know you, who act like they ain't never make a mistake, judging your future, right? So you're about to, and it was like, Candace, you've done this not once but twice already. You've done this already. So, like I say, history repeats itself. And I would like to say that I like to believe I passed that test this time. And I pray to God that it don't ever come back around because of the simple fact that it's like you was here, you know what it's like. But when he started to show me what the outcome was going to be, well, where somebody's about to make a decision about to determine your fate or what it's going to be and what it's not, I ain't gonna lie, I didn't want to look. I didn't want to look because I had already experienced that before, and I had got the shitty end of the stick. Me in defending, you know what I mean? Smacked out, got the shitty end of the stick. So it was like he showed me that, and while when he also was showing me that, he also allowed me to see like I prepared you for this. Like I prepared you for this years ago. Like girl, I got you. Whether you had stopped meditating, whether you had stopped praying every day, yeah, said flying colors. Yes, yes. Give me some love, y'all. Put some hearts in the chat. Can I get an amen? Congratulations or something. you know, and with that, it was like, do you want to go back to that? Do you want to go back to, all right, now you're going to be back to figuring out how you paying this. And you're going to be back to getting yourself in, more debt. You're going to be back to all that. All for what? For a moment where ego took over, a moment where you knew that the devil was busy and using it. And I'm going to tell you just how awesome he is. Yes, Andre. Amen. Yes, Benita. Amen. I'm going to tell you just how awesome he is. I had went to church that following week, and the my pastor was preaching, and when she was preaching, It it is so crazy because I always usually tell her like, "Girl, stay out my business," because when I say something, praying to God or ask God for a sign or a message, I usually go to church and she open her mouth and I be like, "Girl, stay out my prayers," and she be laughing like, "What? I didn't know anything about that." So um, in that moment when that was being done, at the end of like the middle of her service, she said, you know, God is doing things and was like, sometimes you've come too far to have to prove a point for ego or the what she was preaching was about what she was preaching. Um, I feel like it was about everybody that was going through stuff, but yeah, it she but when she was preaching, Like the message that, she was preaching on, oh, it definitely was for me. It was definitely for me, loud and clear. And that's why I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. Like Handy Mandy said, like you passed that test with flying colors. And even though like um True Man and my sister and my homeboy, he knew about it. And even when we was in church, my sister was texting my phone like, "Oh my God, did you hear that? Are you listening?" And she was like, "Did you hear that?" She was like, "Girl, don't go back. Like you came too far." And it was like, even with my sister was like, "Oh my goodness." And she was telling me, she's like, "Yo, you really have grown." She was like, "I be trying to tell people like, you know, she's not the same. Like how she handle things and go about things. Like, my sister does not do it that way anymore." And she just was like, I know she knew we made a joke, and she was like, I know you wish you was back in high school. She was like, I know you wish you could go back 20 years because I had just realized I had been out of school for like 20 years. So, and the person is younger than me. She was like, I know you wish you could go back 20 years. And I said, no, because 20 years ago, she was like 7 or 8 years old. So I still couldn't have put my hands on her. You get what I'm saying? So we laughed, and she was like, oh, damn. I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? 20 years ago, the girl was in elementary school. So, and then me and my friend Louis laughed because we were talking, and I was like, oh my gosh, even in that moment, during this, so much had came that because I prayed and I asked about it. And I got to see how the older women at my other job years ago when I was a teenager and stuff like that, and in my 20s, how they felt when we would be at work and getting smart with them. And Tremaine was laughing at me, was like, girl, no, you definitely do. They definitely sound like, little old heads at the job. Because I was like, girl, these young girls start to change. You know what I mean? And we was laughing and things like that. But I'm just saying all that to say that, you know, he listens, he answers. And when you ask, you don't know how your answer is going to come. And I was asking, and in that moment, I never thought that it would be somebody that I genuinely like would be the messenger. And so, and then and I was teasing my friend, and I was like, and I'm mad because I still came home and prayed for the Lord mother freaker. She started laughing. I said, you got to pray for those who despitefully try to use you. You know? And I said, but I won't, but I said, but I ain't praying no more. So we laughed and all that. She's like, all right, you don't got to. So I even find myself doing that more, like, praying for people who, I feel have done some things that's not right. Because don't nobody know where you are in your relationship with God. Don't nobody know, like I said, your story and what goes on. And I want to say that I'm so grateful that I did catch on to that because God definitely spins the bin about me. I don't know how he do it. I don't know when it happens, but it always happens. Whether it's somebody doing something that they ain't have no business or anything like that, because genuinely I show up, I'm me. I'm not a hard person to get a uh what y'all you know, do and don't do. Like even one of my homeboys, he be like, "Yo, you really be out here putting the work in or doing the work?" And I'm like, "Yes," because I know what it looked like when I didn't. And so even in this moment, this moment too, is where God was allowing just these little things to come during Lent, where He was like, "Now are you going to get back to? Now you see why you got to talk to me every day. Now do you see why you gotta pray every day? Like, now do you see why I have you and show you the things that I show you? Because when you are not connected to me, yo, the enemy is out here roaming. And he comes to steal, seek, kill, and destroy. And will use people you love, will use people you don't know, will use strangers to try to, attack you because you're going to get tested. And for me personally, with even if myself outside of this situation, some stuff I'm tired of getting a test for. And I believe that when you truly get tired of getting the test for certain things, it's not that's when you will begin to work towards being better and try to make a difference and change because it don't happen overnight. I've been doing it for 7 years. And within those 7 years, like I told y'all, five years ago, I got tested at work. The girl came in through the juice. Yes, I got up, went after her, and was ready to go get it in. But God said, girl, do you want better? The job don't care. You care. I care because you are mine. I went right there, paid my little fee because the job didn't. Wrote that probable cause up so good that that girl was calling me, begging me to drop it because she was about to get probation and community service at 23 for throwing juice. Well, soda. So it's like my prior job taught me how to write very well. So it's like, what in the world? You know what I mean? And and so here we are today, and this cousin comes, and I mean not this cousin, this situation comes, and I have to figure out what to do because what is the saying that I love that your cousin used to say about when the devil shows up? Oh yeah, she used to always tell me one day when the devil show up, there will be nothing for him to find. And even in that moment, that was my baby. She guided me through this thing called life. And a lot of these things that I'm learning and I'm understanding, I'd be like, damn, I wish she was still here so we could talk about it because, I remember one of the last messages she sent me. Um, she was like, Candace, you have grown so much, and I have been able to be a witness to that. I'm so proud of you. That was like one of many last messages she she said to me. And so it's like now when I'm doing these things, she's not here to be able to be like, girl, usually stuff like this, she's like, "Ooh, girl, I'm so glad." She's be like, "I'm so glad I'm praying for you and I'm working on you and da da da." So whereas though even with that, even during this time, I'm praying for my own personal, offspring. Right? So while I'm going through Lent dealing with this, he's also showing me and working, doing things through my offspring in a great way to show me like, yo, I got y'all. So at the end of the day, it was like this little stupid stuff over here at work or outside, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you got a dream, you got a goal. This is a pit stop for you. You passing through here, working here on your journey to where you trying to go, and you have a kid. You know what I mean? That you're responsible for. That is a young lady too dealing with life, and I need you focused and praying over here and on your household and the things that's going on. So I had to. So he revealed so much during this Lent season to me in regards to my personal growth, my prayers, and showing me what's important. And when I say this to encourage you guys that whenever life is throwing you curveballs or people are coming that is just doing some things and you not understanding what's going on or what it is that you need to get out of it, sit still for a second. Don't let your ego take over. You know, and process it. And if you feel like it's overwhelming, have somebody around you, people around that you can call that are a little wiser or have experienced life more or are closer to God. Their relationship is strong because God will give you, He gives us favor too by whom we are connected to. Some people that's around you and in your life don't even deserve to be there. Some of them deserve to be getting calm or kicking them left and right, but because it's you they're connected to, it's you who they talk to, it's you who's getting Jesus on the main line, it's you who's pouring into them, uplifting them, is why life ain't completely kicking their ass. You know what I mean? And when we learn just how powerful we are. And when you are confident and things like that, you move with authority. God gave us power and authority and dominion over all things on earth. So it's like once you tap into that and you really get to know and understand who you are and your power, it's like, yo, you can't even sweat the small stuff because guess what? You got bigger battles to fight. You got bigger demons to deal with. And these people who ain't, or like I say all the time, I don't need people to tell me what they do with their life or how they are or what's going on because their life is going to show you that. People show you so much with their life, and I'm not even talking about the internet stuff. I'm talking about people that you may know personally, or stories of ones that may talk to you and all this. Like I can tell how you living by your life. I can tell how you living by what you talk about, by how you move, by how much chaos in your household. I could tell what's going on just by the morals of who you in a relationship with, or who you're not in a relationship with, or if you somebody and you say you grown as hell and you don't have no friends, like you don't have not one, you know what I'm saying? Like people's life will tell you who they are without them having to say something. We just have to make sure that we are woke enough to pay attention. And I pay attention to everything. And um I don't hold grudges. I work on that and I pray for that because I don't want that. So just like the other thing, like I said with a trigger, I don't want to say what the trigger is because people like to use things. But my sister and one of my friends said the same thing, both jokingly. And I had to say, I said, "Oh, whoa!" I felt that ego, that offense came, and I was like, "Oh no, who the bloop bloop bloop?" With one, I was like, "Oh no!" And she was like, "Oh my bad, I didn't know." Like I apologize. I was like, "Yeah, girl, like you almost got your head chopped off." But let me tell you why you almost got your head chopped off, and it's not your fault, right? And even when it happened with my friend, I was like, "Oh no, I gotta go," you know, because I know that I sometimes, when a trigger get hit, sometimes the best thing is to dismiss yourself, so it won't go. And I didn't know that they were gonna call me back, and they called me back and was like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I was like, "No," I said, "Wait a minute," because I was gonna call them back too. I said, "No," I said, "Yeah," I said, "Let me tell you this," I said, "It's not your fault because you didn't know." And you can't be held accountable for what you don't know. And me and this person, we offend each other all day. So when they was doing what they was doing, they didn't know that this offense was full of suspense and defense, okay, and poison. And it was like, "Oh no, then do you want to talk about it?" I said, "No, it's not nothing I really want to talk about." I said because I said, "Let me get you in on something. It's not you, it's me." You know what I mean? You didn't know that this was a trigger for me. Triggers are places and things that show up so that I can heal that area within me because that's not your responsibility. Now I could have took it and made it a thing, right? Because that's one thing we do when a person trigger you, you become upset with them, you feel away with them, but it's like, yo, it's not even them, it's what they said, and it's your trigger, right? But once my cousin had taught me, and it took a lot to teach, and she had me to learn that the person is just a shell. You know, life is one big classroom, and everyone in it comes along to teach you something about you. So you can't be upset with the messenger. Don't even be upset about the trigger. Take that trigger, take that, and go to God and ask God to heal that. And I didn't know what that meant when she was saying it during that time. But then as time went on, I started doing it. And she's like, "See," and now I have to rely on it even more, because she's gone. So I was like, "No." I said, "You didn't, it's not your fault. You didn't know that that was a trigger for me." I was like, "Oh no, I'm not a victim. You're not responsible for my trigger." I said, "It also just showed me that that's still in there, even though I knew it was still in there. But prior to, he didn't know. So I have an alarm that goes off on my phone every day at noon, and it says, take time to pray. So I pray in the morning, and then at 12 o'clock, the reminder comes on my phone for me to pray. It doesn't mean that it have to be a long prayer. It doesn't mean it have to be this. And I was on the phone with him, and I had gotten quiet because he didn't know. But now I'm telling you guys, he didn't know, and I got quiet for a second, and I started praying. Let me tell y'all, and during this time today when I prayed, what next journey? Yeah, right? And he didn't know that. So this afternoon when I prayed, I was like, I thank God for everything he's done. And I said, God, show me an area that I need to heal. This was at 12 o'clock. Are y'all listening? This was at 12 o'clock this afternoon. At 12:45, my friend committed the offense. Okay? At 12:45, my friend committed the offense. You know what I mean? I said this prayer at 12. At 12:45, 45 minutes after my prayer, my friend created this offense. And it stung at first. That's why I was like, I gotta go. But I think I was being dramatic when I did that part because I like to play with him. So I was being dramatic with that. And I was telling him, and I was like, no, and I explained to him when that trigger developed itself in my life, because it actually was a trigger that was developed over 10 years ago. Um, that I still have to heal. I still have to do the forgiving of um those persons involved. And also I have to forgive myself and pour more love and area in that area of what that triggered me, that situation that triggered me, because that is an area where I felt like I could have been better. You know what I mean? I needed to do better only because of the way certain things turned out with that situation. So, and and he was like, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Yeah, it's not your fault." I said, "Cause here you go." I said, "It would be," and he's like, "You know what? It would be me." And I'm like, "Yeah, it would be," but you know we were able to talk about it. He learned something about me that he didn't know. Even though he's known me for some years, he learned something that he didn't know. So people are always learning things about us that they don't know. So we can't always assume that when you offending somebody, yes, you do have to speak up, but we got to understand sometimes people can't speak up in those moments because you might not want to say the wrong thing. You know what I mean? And I said, yeah, and I said to him, I said, but look, I said, now I just prayed this prayer at 12 o'clock, asked God to show me an area in my life that I needed to heal. And here you come show up with your smart mouth. And we laughed, and that was that. And I was like, no, I was like, I gotta work on that. And I said, I gotta figure out how to work on that because that is a sore spot for me. We laughed and continued the conversations for the rest of the day. So, I'm saying, don't I did you can't shoot the messenger for what they don't know. You know, of course, in the middle of it, you're gonna feel away because it's like, wait a minute, what did you say? Or why you say that? Or well, what do you mean by that? Can I have some clarification? Because like before I go off or whatever it may be that somebody does to you, always ask for clarification. Or like I said earlier, you gotta recognize the journey that you're on. And it is important, you guys, to know those voices, to know the ego, to know when the enemy has surfaced, to know which voice is your pride. The man, what is it? Pride cometh before the fall. You know, ego is always the first voice to respond in everything, and it's important to, understand that and process that before you do something. So, back to what Handy Mandy said, like we ignore the voice way too often. We can't keep ignoring stuff and not wanting to address it or have the uncomfortable conversations with people that are close to us, because conversations, growth happens. So I want to Why does tonight's show remind me of a poetry night? Got me snapping and clapping tonight. Left alone so many things familiar to myself. Oh, well, thank you. And I prayed that too tonight. Look at me. I'm just letting y'all in on all my prayers. That, I wish that, I say, God, everybody that's supposed to show up tonight to be here is going to be here. Let them be here. And so this is why, for all of you guys who are here and who stayed and whatever came and come back, like, I appreciate you because I pray for y'all because of the simple fact that sometimes we can go through a lot of things in life when we going through things and you just feel like you alone. And that was why I started my platform. It was like I started my platform because I didn't want people to feel alone. Then I started it so I could also tell my own story. I started it so I could also share personal experiences to help somebody else get through it. But then I also have the people who would either join me, follow me, watch me, befriend me, who would feel away when I'm talking about the experience I had with them in my life. And I'm like, well, if you wanted a better experience, then you should have been better to me or you should have did things differently. You know, I always tell people, and maybe you guys can add this to your notebook. I cannot control how you chose to show up in my experience. I can choose to not say names. I can choose to not go into so many details. I can choose to not come here and slaughter you because that's not what the platform is about. But I don't ever come here in the midst of a situation. I come here after it's passed and 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 not even that the situation's passed, but I come here after I've already processed and understood the message that God was trying to show me. And he said, share it. So even in that moment, right? Even when I said that, I'm sitting there while they're talking about me, like I'm right there, it also showed me that because there's good in everything. That too had also showed me, oh, it's okay for you to talk about what people have done to you or the different things you've experienced. Whether the people follow you or they don't. It's okay. So he used that situation to show me to make me okay with it. And it's like if you come here one day and you watch it and it's about you, I don't have nothing to do with you being offended because I'm not going to not talk about the growth in my journey and the people, places, and things that God used to grow me. So I challenge you guys that if you want better, be better, and better will happen. Don't let anybody make you a victim. If people try to assassinate your character, it ain't up to you to prove them wrong. And in spite of all of that, like I said, even in the midst of all that situation, I just went on a whole, you know, city to city food tour. So the point is, my life kept going. you you hear what I'm saying? Like life kept going. I couldn't stay in that moment and say I didn't want to complete the orders that I received that day because somebody pissed me off. I couldn't stay in that and show up every day and be mad and still feel away and expect good things to happen to me. I couldn't do that. I still went on my little city food city tour, had a good time, got my hair done after I had that fiasco with the one girl. So life continued to go on. I still had stuff to do. And it was like I said, and it was in that situation where God used that to show me in so many different areas of how he hasn't left, how he was right there, and how he will be there, and why I have to communicate with him. And I will say that when I'm not in communication with him, how I normally am, which is daily, every day, you know, meditation and prayer, that it be real out here. I don't like it. When I'm not in alignment with him, I don't like it. Because it's like my goal is to get so high and so plugged in with him that I can't even hear the noise from anything or anybody else. Um, I'll have to talk about this the next time, but when I was on my tour, when I was on the book tour, now I'm hoping that maybe the people who was on the tour might show up. Who knows? I don't know. But when I was on that book tour, baby, and we had a panel, people had to come to me and tell me, like, "Oh, you know that girl? Like, she was being shady as hell to you." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" You know, like, because during that time, I was so connected. I was so connected. Like, I was eat, sleep, and breathing Jesus. Okay. And I was like, "For real?" And they was like, "No, yeah, she was being shady as hell. Like, she was," and it was like, "But your responses to the questions was like shutting her up, making her look dumb, but it was funny because you didn't even know what she was doing." And I was like, "Oh, damn." So it's just like in those when like God will shield you from the bullshit. That's right in your face. Like, when he will. Some of that stuff won't even make it to you, child. And I didn't know. I was like, "Oh wow, I didn't even know." You know what I mean? I wasn't there. My Miss Vibration's big. Miss Vibration was active. So it was like, girl, I guess that's what it was. It's like I can't even I'm showing up and I'm genuinely being me. So it's just like being you is so easy and it's free. I don't want to be anybody else. Everybody else is taken. So that's another story for another day as well that I would like to share too. Um, but yeah, you have to, you guys just do the work, continue to fight for you. Don't make anybody else responsible for your happiness or your joy. Nobody's responsible for that. And that's something that we got to learn. Accountability and self. Like I don't even care about the accountability part today. But it's self. Let's start getting and being more in tune and aware of ourselves. Let's stop giving people so much power over us that they're affecting our day, that they're affecting what's going on, that the breakup is making you not want to even go to work or go to sleep or to like we let's work fight for your joy. Fight for you because nobody else is fighting for you. You have to fight for you. And at the end of the day, it's you and God. And it's going to be when you leave here, it's going to be you with your track record and how you treated people. I had people I had to forgive that I did not want to forgive. Like I told y'all, I came home and I prayed for the girl. I ain't even want to do that. Candace ain't want to do that. You know what I mean? But when you're doing the right thing and your heart is changing, because you can say you want to do things, but your heart has to change with it. Like when they say God knows my heart, we say it sometimes as a slogan or when we want to cut up, stuff like that. But no, He really does know your heart posture. Everything is about your heart posture and what it is you want to do. I no longer resort to getting violent and to being smart and slick talking and all of that because I'm no longer that angry, bitter, mad person I used to be. You know what I mean? A lot of the times people don't even recognize that they are this way because it's what's going on with them in the inside. And I had to understand that. Like if y'all see me and I go to like amusement parks, so when I be wanting to go to these little museums, fun fact, me and Tremanda went to Candytopia one year. And I was just so excited. I was like a big kid. Like they would tell me, like they be like, "Girl, you like a big kid," but I am, and there's nothing wrong with that because I was taught that, and and that's the part of us that we get disconnected from. Every day you should be able to be in tune with the big with your inner child because your inner child is the one that got the pain and the trauma and all the disappointment and the projections and the fears that your parents or people in life put on you. When you're constantly fighting and you rah rah rah, or you're fighting for the relationship, or you're fighting for the attention, or you're fighting for the job, it's like because you're still protecting that inner child in you. And um my life coach had told me like 3 years ago, one day during one of our moments, and was like, you don't have to fight for her anymore. Like you don't have to fight for the little child in you. You gotta hug her, hold her, love her, nurture her, forgive her, and move on and do it. And it take work to do it because sometimes she wants to play peekaboo. You know what I mean? She likes to say woohoo, woohoo, like a damn cuckoo clock. But you got to be able to recognize and control it and see what it is. So it's just things like that. And give yourself grace, be patient with yourself. Um listen, that's a whole word, okay? Be patient with yourself. Listen, be fast to listen and slow to anger because coming from somebody I never thought before I did anything. You would think I didn't even have a brain. Now I think before everything. And I'm so grateful that I do because I could be in some crazy predicaments. And it's a journey. You're gonna be working on yourself until we leave here. We're the goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be more like Jesus. You know what I mean? And that's my goal. And listen, he had to forgive people. He had to forgive you and you ain't deserve it. So how is it that we be like, oh, I don't want to forgive somebody else? The problem is sometimes with forgiveness is like forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to rekindle. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to get back into the relationship. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to get back into the friendship. And forgiveness don't mean we gotta do lunch. You get what I'm saying? It's like once you just we understand what it means and what it is, it doesn't always mean you have to do that again. Sometimes forgiving you is forgiving you and making peace with it and moving on. That's forgiveness. But when things come and they still make you feel away, it is okay that you still feel away because, like my good cousin told me, one day the devil gonna show up and there was gonna be nothing for him to find. And that would go to when like I used to get into it with my baby father. Or there was like a disagreement with my baby father. I would ignore that nigga so quick. You know what I mean? The things that would irritate me with him and we would be going back and forth. It was like when he would show up and his stuff was, I'm like, okay, talk to you later. Call me with some respect. And matter of fact, alt backspace, delete, block. One point, my daughter phone was blocked from my phone for 4 years. For 4 years. And she's just now of age. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to protect your peace. And I'm big on teaching people how to treat me. And we have to start teaching people how to treat us, even when we love them, even when it hurts. And that's why I'm not against rekindling. It depends on what it is, but I don't rekindle relationships that I had to go to God to pray about because I feel like that is a slap in the face. That's just how I process it. You may process it different. That's just how I process it. They say a good thing, you let go. If it's for you, let it go and it'll come back. Hey, you can't come back here. You know what I mean? Like certain, I say cliches and dysfunctional patterns and sayings I don't relate to. Because if I had to pray you up out of here, if I had to cry and heal through you, why do I want to be with you? And if you didn't treat me right when you had me, why would I give you another opportunity? That's just me. It works for some people. It's cool for those that think it's cool. But I wasn't always like that. But it's something about learning and reading the word and understanding who God says you are and called and created you to be, that it just gives you a different confidence. It gives you a different glow. It adds to you. It's like and then once you start to understand your value and people being around you is a privilege, being your friend is a privilege. When you start to know what it is you actually carry and how you pour into people's lives or you're able to see the lives that you've touched just with them being in connection with you. And then when you're not in connection with them, you be able to watch all hell break loose whether what it no matter what it may be. And I'm not just talking about an intimate relationship, I'm talking about in general. It's like I didn't know that about me. Like I didn't know what my worth was. I didn't know how much God loved me at one point. I didn't know that. And I was taught that. I was guided to this direction. It was poured into me. Like, girl, this. Like, you are already perfect. You are made in the likeness and image of God. He made us all perfect already. So if you come along and you don't like my love handle, I don't have nothing to do with that. You understand? I gotta love me. We gotta always talk and pour positive into yourself because the internet, your friends, your families, your relationships, life, employees, coworkers is always quick to throw you down or say something negative. Do you want to be a part of that? If everybody else is negative and can say something or got something to say or being smart, all this to you, do you want to do that? Do you want to also add on to that? So if everybody is negative and everybody got something to say and everybody's making you feel away, well, damn, who's making you feel? Are you making you feel good? What are you getting out of it? So you can't at least talk good to yourself in the mirror. You can't pour love into you in the mirror. So how long do we go around asking and pouring love into other people and begging and pleading and crying and fighting with them to love us the way we need to be loved or how we want them to love us? But then you don't even love yourself in that same format. And that's why you dealing with the foolishness that you dealing with. Because when you love yourself, it has nothing to me. It has nothing to do with, being arrogant or being confident or feeling like you're better than. Usually people who feel that way or say those things to you is because they feel like that about you or they don't understand how you can feel that way about you. But I'm here to tell you that when you get in contact and get in relationship with the man upstairs, he pours that into you. He brings that back to the surface for you to stand 10 toes down and know you are the sugar, honey, and iced tea. You are that because I made you that way. You know, people love you and they connect to you and they attach themselves to you and they want to be around you or they want to be in your presence. Yeah, because he made you that way. He made you that way. He made you that way to where when you meet people, they're going to love you or they're going to want to be in a relationship with you or they're going to want this or they want to know what it is that you do or how you going through hell and high water, but you still smiling. He made you that way. These people are just messengers to give you reminders of who you are. People are fickle. God is not. People change and switch up. He does not. Imagine if he switched up on you, how you switch up on people, or how people have switched up on you. My God, we all be headed to hell in a handbasket. So, self growth is important. Growing is important. And I want us all to be better. I challenge you to write down and ask God to show you an area that you too need to heal. To show you how far you have grown. How can you make someone else's day? Is there a message he would like for you to say to someone? And most importantly, you are not a victim. You're not a victim. Things happen to you, but you're not a victim. That victim mindset is that, oh, it's everyone else's fault. Oh, I just feel pity and I want to stay here and just croak. That's being a victim. Traumatized. A lot of people, most people here got mommy issues, daddy issues, friendship issues, relationship issues, parenting issues, self esteem issues, all of this stuff wrapped up in one. You have some people who don't even know who they are if they're not in a relationship. You have some people who don't even know who they are when they're not with their friends or if they're not hanging outside all the time. You got some people who can't even sit quiet in a house or be comfortable being alone with themselves. Like you don't even like your own company. So how can somebody else like it? You know what I mean? Like you can't even sit still in a house by yourself for a day or two without you feeling like you're going crazy. You have to look at that. You have to look at that. So it's one step at a time. We here to hold your hand and we won't get through it because we are all destined for greatness. We all have a purpose. We all have things in us that we need to do. Sometimes we just don't know what it may be or you can't find it. And your life purpose is not always attached to an income. It could be showing up to be the friend for somebody, showing up to be the listening ear or the non-judgmental person. But don't make nobody else's emergencies and businesses yours, your issues. You know what I mean? You have to really just pour into you, focus on you, and understand that that's all this life journey is about. Yes, we may want people to go along with the ride, and some will. But when people say no or they reject you and they don't want to, I promise you it ain't nothing wrong with you. And that's the thing about rejection. The rejection from anything makes you feel a way about you. And it's not about you. It's not about you. I remember one time a relationship of mine had came to an end. You need to close out with prayer. Are you playing or you being serious? Because you know you like to play a lot. uh, you know, and I had liked this person. You know what I mean? I had really liked this person. And I also knew that this person was no good for me, right? And I couldn't understand how after the relationship ended, like we just didn't get back together. You know, you always looking to go back and forth. He said, seriously, seriously, what? You always, he said, I'm dead serious. Oh, okay, all right, I will. And that after you do that, right? And I couldn't understand why we wasn't getting back together. And I had liked him. Well, he had liked me too. With his crazy self, God rest his soul. But needless to say, I couldn't understand why we didn't. It just wasn't what it was being. Because this was back when I was in my ping pong phase, right? And he wanted me to, but he knew he wasn't right for me either. And I want to say maybe about like 8 months later, after May, 6 months after I was really like, oh, I'm leaving this situation alone. He was murdered. And so this is why I'm like, you can't take somebody not wanting to be with you so personal because you never know why the pieces are being moved. You know what I mean? Like you should not have to, you don't, the Bible says, and even God is love. You don't have to fight for love. But everything around us and the things we see, we think it has to. We have to, and you don't. So it was like I didn't always know that. But once I knew that and learned that and began to understand that, I move differently. So you're not held responsible for what you don't know. So, you can't do that. Sometimes I've gotten to see where some people are right where I left them. Sometimes you'll get to see they right where you left them at. Ain't shit changed except the year. They might have got a new pair of shoes. Might got a new place. They might got a new car. They might got a new hairdo. They might got a new this. They might got some new friends. But the spirit is still jacked up. And when you get close to him and you get in relation and alignment, you be able to see through people, you know? So I want you guys to be uplifted. And tonight, after tonight, take some deep breaths and release all the pain and tension and disappointment. Because it is not worth it. And just tell God, it is me, oh Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Nobody else. It is me standing here. At the end of the day, it's gonna be you and you alone at them gates. And he gonna pull out your resume. Some of y'all got a long stroll and be like, what do we have here? You know what I mean? So it's just like, let's just be better. Let's work towards being better and do this self growth and improving. So we're going to end tonight since as a request from a few of you guys, I've never had to do this. It's a pray out loud. So I gotta take I like this is how I get into my prayer mode. Father God, I come to you today and we ask you to ease our mind, our heart, our body, and our spirit. Ask that you allow us to sleep tonight, knowing that we made it through another day, through anything that has came to challenge us, to push us, or to break us. We made it. God, I ask that you allow us to not have a victim mindset, but to have a clean heart and a clear mind to be better, to do better, to understand that you are always with us and you are never against us and you hear us even when it seems like you are so far away. And I ask that you use this moment to allow us to get back and reconnected with you. Father God, I ask that you take us out of this victim mindset and give us a prosperity mindset, a wisdom mindset. Give us more discernment, Father God. Make us aware of the things that are around us and the situations and the people, persons, and things. Cover us and our families in your garment. Give us the helmet of salvation when the enemy comes to get into our minds and use our minds as a playground to trick us, to get us disconnected from you. Father God, I ask that you allow us to understand those things that are happening to us are always happening to us for our good. I hope that you help us understand that man's rejection is your protection. Father God, that our value and worth cannot be found in anybody else. It can only be found within you. Every dream should flourish, everything we touch shall prosper, and the conversations that we have with people will uplift them and push them and move them in the right direction. Father God, I ask that any financial burdens that are on our lives at this moment, you push those blockages out the way. You release those stress, you release, uncertainties, insecurities. You release that from us and push us forward and draw us closer to you and allow us to know who we are and that you gave us power and dominion and authority over the world. And in Jesus' name, amen. Okay? Let's get a snap snap. So, you guys go. Be great. Don't beat yourself up. Keep going. No matter what's going on, you are here. You are going to live to see another day. And God has your back, and you are not alone with any battle, anything you are facing. It's to make you stronger. And everything that's being done is to uplift and push you and elevate you to your next level of greatness. Okay. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I enjoyed it. This was nice. And I hope and I pray that prayer changes you guys' life tonight and you guys see differences and you wake up feeling lighter tomorrow. You wake up with more customers tomorrow, more money in the bank account, less stress. And thank you for requesting that because I've never done that. Look at all this new stuff going on, okay? Let him use you, okay? And he ain't talking about that man. So I'm glad. I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. Share the show out for me. Sharing is caring. And I will talk to you guys next week. And follow me on TikTok. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're at 850 subscribers. I have to start pushing that more so we can get some more subscribers. And continue to go out and be great. Great show. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, because I haven't seen you in a minute. I'm glad. I'm glad. Awesome show. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. You just never know how people receive, the positivity because some people want foolishness, but I can't give it all the time. But we got to get back to this lane, okay? So thank you guys for joining in tonight. Um, and just I pray that after the show ends, you just release and let go whatever it is that may be bringing you some issues at the moment, and just know that better days are coming. They're already here. They're on the way. See you later.
Candy coated secrets you see. Manifest